y'all, welcome back. Welcome. If you're new, I am so happy to have you here. And if you are new here, I'm Krista David. I'm an artist and entrepreneur and lover of paper, planners, all the things. And on this channel, I talk about those things as well as financial wellness. And today, I was having a little love fest with my notebooks. And I thought that I would tell you about this one practice that I stumbled upon back in 2009, but I didn't know that I was doing it or that there was a name for it until about 6 months ago. You're probably doing this and have no idea. So in this video, we're going to talk about commonplace notebooks or commonplacing. So, in 2009, I was going through like a rough patch in my life. Things were chaotic, and that is an understatement. Traumatic. I mean, there was so much going on then. And I had to manage a lot as a single parent of a teenager at that time. And preteen teenager at that time. And I've been a journaler and a lover of notebooks my entire life. Like, I am that person. I have notebooks and journals. I love them. I collect them. I hold on to them for decades sometimes. And I use them as well. But in 2009, I said, okay, I'm juggling a lot in this season and I just need a notebook, an everything notebook. And that's what I called it. I called it my everything notebook. And it was a Moleskine pocket notebook. So 3.5, actually I have one here. It was something like this. 3.5 by 5.5 inches Moleskine notebook. And I put everything in that notebook. Every to-do list, everything I was reading, everything I needed to think about and process. Like, I put everything in that notebook. It was my everything notebook. And since 2009, I've been keeping like everyday notebooks. Now, since 2009, I learned of things like bullet journaling, maybe about 5 years ago or something like that. And I said, oh, okay, well, maybe I'm doing a little bit of bullet journaling. So I'm pretty sure I was doing that in my everyday notebook. So I would have my task list and things like that. But I would also have other information that I wanted to refer back to and information that I was getting from a bunch of different sources. That's the commonplacing part. So I learned about this term 6 months ago, commonplacing. I encourage you to Google or search YouTube, but I will put a link to 2 people that share about commonplacing in a very sort of thorough way. One is a philosopher and theologian named Parker from Park Notes, and he goes into the history. If you are a nerd like I'm a nerd, he goes into the history of commonplacing or commonplace notebooks. And it goes way back to Aristotle, 335 BC. They're different types. Anyway, if you want to geek out on the history of it, I will link that video in the description box. So that's one resource just to kind of, get your grounding. Another resource, and that this sort of adds to what Parker mentions in his video. It adds this other sort of user friendliness to commonplacing. And the YouTuber's name, her name is Megan Rhiannon, and she introduces the these little, and I don't know if she's the first one, but she is the first one that I saw, these little color-coded dots to the system, to the Commonplace books. And that is like, I mean, that just turbocharged my usage of all my notebooks by having these little color codes. So I'm going to show you. But basically, a Commonplace book is not a journal. So this is my journal. I'm a journaler. And, you know, this is a journal. Just words on a page, okay? There's no rhyme or reason. It's stream of consciousness. It's reflection. It's all the things, right? Prayers. I mean, it's everything. This is journaling. It's like what happened in my day. That is not a Commonplace book. A Commonplace book is more of a book where you put information, ideas, thoughts, content that you want to be able to go back to and reference at a later date. Now, I write my journals. Sure, I'll reread my journals, whatever. But outside of me just putting the year on the index of my journals, that's the only information I have about the contents of that journal and what could possibly be in the journal marked 2019 March through June. I can probably think in my mind like, what was going on there? But that's all the information I have to tell me what is in that journal. Commonplacing, when you add the element of a key, it helps you to sort of visually organize information and quickly be able to refer back to it, right? So Commonplace books are for references. You can put quotes in here. You can put copy text. Like sometimes I'll read poems or passages from books that I'm like, oh my God, that was so good. I want to hold on to that. And I'll rewrite that portion of it. I rewrite scriptures. I listen to podcasts, and I will grab my book and be like, okay, let me jot this down. This is interesting. I will be reading a book and I want to jot down notes that I want to go back to, things that I want to apply at a later date. That is all in my Commonplace notebook. And color coding it with these little stickers that I'm going to show you has just been a game changer for me. So it makes it fun to kind of flip through and be like, oh, this is that, or this is that kind of thing. So that's the difference between commonplacing and journaling. Journaling is, you know, just stream of consciousness, reflections, diary type stuff. Commonplacing is sort of a collection of ideas and content that is organized in a particular way, like you have some way of like indexing it, and it's something that you will refer back to. So I can pick up my Commonplace book, look at the key and be like, okay, right, these are the types of things that I'm going to find in my Commonplace book. Now, right now, the way that I commonplace is I will have a general Commonplace book where a bunch of different things go into that same book. So podcast notes, book notes, quotes, my thoughts about those things. And then I'll have a Commonplace book that is specific and devoted to just one topic. And an example of that is my Devotional journal, which started off just as a devotional journal, but then I added the element of the color code, and then I was like, okay, this is, so it's like my commonplacing for all things spiritual and faith related. So I'm using the Commonplace system in those two ways, a general book and a specific book. And you can think about it. You can have Commonplace books that are very specific to whatever, say you're in a season where you want to learn about gardening and you just want to have a notebook that's all about gardening. You may pick up a notebook and say, okay, this is my gardening book. And that's your gardening Commonplace book. You're going to have, and then you may in that gardening book have a color code that's about supplies, flower types, seasons, or whatever, frost dates, or things that are germane to gardening. You may have a commonplace book that is specific to your books that you're reading, so your book notes. And, so you can decide how you want to set up your commonplace books. I will say that having a general one or one that's like a catch-all is a good place to start. Because what you don't want to have is like 11 books running around, and now you're running around like, where's my book notes book? Where's my podcast book? Where's that book? Like, start off with just one book and like sink into that and just organize your color code to capture the various types of information in that book. And then if you feel like, you know what, I'm about to go into this pretty intense season of, I don't know, studying philosophy. Like I want to, become a student of philosophy and I want to read these core texts. Then you may have a dedicated book for something like that. I'm bringing up philosophy because I do want to, spend some time thinking about some of the core philosophical texts and et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, big nerd. That's me. So that's a little bit about commonplacing, but I just wanted to show you real quick what I got going on and what you could probably use in your own sort of writing thought life. So as far as types of notebooks, I think you could decide if you want to do something that's this size for your commonplace book. I think this is great, especially if you're like, this stays at home, on my desk or whatever. But if you know that you are the type of person who likes to be on the go, maybe you want to get something that's a little bit smaller. Field notes is perfect for commonplacing. You can put it in your pocket. They come 3 in a pack. So this is great. And you can put your key right on the first page or right here and then just get going. And then, as you finish a book, you archive it, put it in the drawer, and then you start the next one. So this is an option. Field notes. Like I said, when I started with my everyday notebook, my favorite notebooks, pocket notebooks, are Moleskine. I personally like the soft cover ones, but I know people like hardcover, but I like the soft cover ones. Again, these are 3.5 inches by 5.5 inches. I love them. These are not currently commonplace notebooks. These are just jotters, but you could use, this is a good size for a commonplace book if you are on the go. I use these, again, when I was bullet journaling, and I still have more pages in here, so I like to use up all my pages. I don't care when I started this notebook. Like, this notebook is from 2021, but I still have pages, and I'm going to use up my pages because I use my notebooks. Same thing with this one. I don't know when this one was from. This is from 2018. I mean, things go by, but I only have a few pages left in here, and I'll use up all my pages. But this is not, I'm not using these notebooks as commonplace notebooks, so I don't have any color codes or anything. I'm just showing you this as a demonstration of the size. So you could use these Moleskine notebooks for commonplacing. Oh, I lost my elastic. I have to fix this. Another size that you can use. So here are the notebooks that I'm currently using for commonplacing. This is my planner. I am currently, let me get some water. I currently have my general commonplace book. This is just, I love these little Muji notebooks. I think this is a B5, B6 size, no, A5. This says A5 size. And this is just specific to YouTube planning. I just have a bunch of these for work. And I decided to just make a dedicated YouTube book. And then this is my devotional faith book. So I'll just show you my general commonplace book. This is a MD notebook, and this is B6 slim size, and this is the MD leather cover. So here's the key. So this is my catch-all. These are the things that I'm currently capturing information about. in this Commonplace book. And I only have one general Commonplace book. So financial independence, retire early, or FIRE is on my mind. Continue education. So if I come across anything philosophy or psychology related, I will tag it. Art history, Krista David studio. So things that are specific to my studio that I'm thinking about. Self-care, marketing ideas for any of my businesses or for YouTube or whatever. And then declarations, dreams, and affirmations. I wanted to have a place where, like, if something came up, I can log it. Now, the dots that I'm using in this book, I believe, and I'll just show you, I got these on Amazon, and you get so many in a pack. I believe these are the half-size dots or a 1/4 inch. I'll put them in the description so that they're specific, and I'll label them as small dots. These are good for the B6 slim size. These will be good for the field note size. These will be good for the Moleskine pocket size. So the small dots are good for commonplacing, color coding in these smaller notebooks. And I just keep them in the pouch in the back. And you can see as I go through my notebook, I'm just putting a little line here just so I can put my dot, and then I put my notes. Right? And sometimes I'll put 2 dots because it's related to my studio, but then it's also a declaration, vision kind of thing. So you can put multiple colors next to different passages. This is self-care, right? And look, for example, in the self-care, I put at the beginning of each month, journal, how do I want to feel, plus what will I do to feel that way? And I said, found via YouTube video by Essie, my 2024 planner and journal lineup. So I was watching this video. She said the YouTuber said something that resonated with me, and I grabbed my Commonplace notebook and I jotted it down because I think that this is a good sort of self-care practice. Then we have, this is like a practice and affirmation. I saw it on a YouTube video. Let's see what else we have in here. Oh, this is green. This is about fire. And then this is just sort of like a little sketch of a pathway to start real estate investing. Oh, this was good. This is a self-care, and this was a lot from a couple articles I was reading about syncing your menstrual cycle to productivity, which I think is fascinating and something I'm trying to put into practice. So this is definitely sort of coming to my notebook so much fun because I can flip through and visually sort of see the different types of things that I'm currently logging. Now, the power of the Commonplace notebook is that hopefully, once I'm done with this notebook, I'll start a new one, but my color code will pretty much stay the same. I may find that, oh, this blue one wasn't really used a lot and it's not something that I want to bring into the next one. But for the most part, these will stay the same across several Commonplace books. That way, when you archive them, you're working from this sort of similar place. Now, again, the key may change from season to season, but I think the power is in the continuity in the way that you color code, your Commonplace book. So that's how I use it in my Commonplace Everything book. YouTube is a little different. I use bigger dots because the notebook is just bigger. Same concept. I'll put the dots in the description. I just got a bunch off of Amazon. I have so many. And quite honestly, I bought these first thinking that they would work in this smaller book, but they just look too big. I mean, they could still work, but they just seem too big to me. And that gave me the idea of start using a color code in all of my notebooks. And I was like, yeah, I'm about to run through these 6,000 stickers real fast. So in my YouTube content planning book, this is my key. And it's different, right? It's different from the colors are different from this book. Ideas, plan content, shorts, editing, marketing, growth, analytics. So these are the things that I care about as I try to build my little YouTube channel and just kind of have fun here. And you'll see I started using the dots here. So this is green for analytics. And I think if you go back, and also these are my little analytics for the month. This one is orange for marketing growth. So this is a list of like tiny actions that I'll take to make my videos better and just learn. And then we get to the planned content. This is where these are the types of things I talk about on my channel. Planners and notebooks, money and wealth, and the post-its are just ideas. So instead of me writing on the page and like, you know, I'll run out of pages, I just decide to just use post-it notes and stick them here. And then as I make a video, I'll take the post-it note off. I have art and business, slow living and minimalism. So like these two I haven't made videos about just yet, but I have plans. Shorts is in this separate color because that's a different beast. And then I just use these notes to actually script out stuff. But that's an example of a specific commonplace notebook. Another example of a specific commonplace notebook is my faith or devotional book. This is a Chic Sparrow leather cover that I got pre-loved on the Facebook Buy Sell Trade group. I love this so much. And here is just, what kind of notebook is this? I feel like this is a Midori. Yeah, I feel like this is a Midori notebook, and it's a thick one. Oh, so chunky. I'll have this for so many years. And I started this in 2021, and I was just writing, just regular, no color code, no nothing. But again, the power of the commonplace is you want to come back and reference your book. And anything that is visual that will help me organize something, you know, content, it's much easier for me to go back and reference. So you can see I didn't start using the dots until here. And this is when I got so excited because I was like, ooh, this feels great. Now I know what's going on in here outside of being like, let me grab my devotional book when I'm reading the Bible. So for the color codes, here I have prayers and prayer requests, scripture writing. So that's when I copy the scripture, devotionals and short studies. So maybe I'm interested in like gold in the Bible, and I'll just go through and study the meaning of that. Actually, no, sorry. This is when I'm doing like a devotional from like my Bible app, or I just want to study a book of the Bible, whatever. This is word or phrase studies. So if I get locked into like gold, for example, I just want to study that. Or I really want to study anxiety. I'll study that in the scripture. These are praise reports. Red is revelation through meditation. So the Bible is a wonderful thing, and I'll have a separate video on this. But I'm reading through it again from Genesis through Revelation. I've done that a couple times before, and now I'm reading it slower. The first time I read the Bible, it took me 4 months, and it was the New King James Version. This time, I don't have a time limit on it. I'm trying to just sit with it, and I'm reading the CSB version, which is more like a everyday kind of language version. And if you meditate on this Bible, so many things will open up. Like, I kid you not, I am reading about the temple being built, and I got this, I'm praying about it, and I'm like praying about my own businesses and how to set them up to be of service to people and also profitable. And there was this one part in the scripture as I was meditating on it, and I tell you not, God was like, and this is why you need systems. So that red is for revelation through meditation, because when you mull it over, and especially if you're in a seat, I mean, the Bible just is full of principles and truths. And if you're in a season where you're thinking about a particular thing, whether it's like wealth building or business building or whatever, family building, whatever, I believe that the scripture will illuminate itself, and you will learn things from it that you can apply to whatever situation you're meditating on. So yeah, a lot of business insights from meditating on the scripture as I think about my own businesses and how to just, shore them up. And then this yellow one is just reading through the Bible. So I'm reading through the Bible, and I want to keep track of the days when, and I don't do this every time I pick up the Bible to read, because sometimes I'll read and then I won't make a note that day that I read 5 chapters or whatever, but I am keeping track of like what books and stuff I'm reading. So, and then I say commonplace key starts at the tabbed spot, which I think, anyway, whatever. So I started commonplacing, and that is just so rewarding. So this is like, let me see, yellow, devotionals and short studies. Yep, look at that, anxiety. Anxiety was the first study. I was like, yeah, run me that, because I deal with that, right? And this was a 7-day reading plan from the Bible app dealing with anxiety. And then I have other ones in here. Let me just see the colors. Reading through the Bible, scripture writing. So again, sometimes you can put 2 dots. So I wanted to acknowledge that this section is me reading through the Bible. And I think I did this, reading through the Bible. And then I start writing out the actual scriptures, because this particular passage was something I wanted to be reminded of. Right? And then prayers and prayer requests. So I'll write a prayer, dear God. Sometimes it's a devotional and study, but it's from a podcast. So yeah, anyway, that's how I use this specific commonplace. So I have currently two dedicated specific books where I'm commonplacing and color coding. Excuse me, sorry about that. Commonplacing and color coding. And then I have my commonplace general book. So that's all. I hope this video wasn't that long. These things go by so quickly. I love notebooks, and hopefully you love them as much as I do. The key with having them, though, is you want to be in relationship with them. And I'm just so happy to have found this concept of commonplacing, something I have been doing, but now I have a name for it. And I have this additional layer of organization that really satiates my right brain. So color coding. And I'm just so grateful for it. So that's all I wanted to share. And please let me know in the comments, have you tried commonplacing, whether you knew it to be a term or not?